This whole case is a rabbit hole into the unknown, and I won't stop plunging its depths until I get them. Plunging its depths? I mean, what?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Boys Gen V Episode 4 video. Big Tech Knight episode. They finally did the Tech Knight character, probably one of the biggest degenerates in the Boys universe, but not quite the psychopath that Homelander is. There are a bunch of Easter eggs and references, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. Careful for spoilers for the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll just start at the beginning and work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments, and all the parodies of Marvel and DC characters. Starting with the episode title, The Whole Truth, the name of Tech Knight's TV show, it's also a pun about his proclivities, the whole idea that he's obsessed with holes because of his brain tumor. So the whole idea is that, yes, he is a degenerate, he does all these things, he tries to stick it in every hole that he can find. That's basically what he does in the comics. It winds up getting him into all kinds of trouble that Vought has to cover up. But the difference between him and like another deviant like Homelander, for instance, is that Homelander's like a full-blown psychopath and knows what he's doing is bad. Whereas in the comics, everything that Tech Knight is doing is caused by the brain tumor. That's to blame for all the craziness. It's mainly a Tech Knight episode, and they lean very heavily into the Batman side of his parody. The whole idea is that the character in the comics is meant to be a parody of both Batman and Iron Man, like he is a Tech, as in Iron Man, Knight, as in The Dark Knight. One of the big differences with the character, and they make fun of him in the episode for this, is that he is not a Compound V superhero. He doesn't have Compound V. He uses technology to make himself a superhero like Iron Man and Batman. The showrunner said that they lean more heavily into the Batman side of the character just because it was more ripe for this kind of parody, like his investigative journalism is a parody on Batman being the world's greatest detective. And in the episode, they make Tech Knight's abilities seem kind of like Sherlock's deduction capabilities, learning things just from basic clues, not actually having superpowers. Within the world of the Boys, they mentioned the character a bunch of different times back to Season 1. They didn't say if he's still on the team, but originally he used to be on the Payback team when it was led by Stormfront. During the events of Season 1, they have Starlight joining the Seven to fill the spot left by Translucent after he dies. Originally, Tech Knight was meant to join the Seven, but what happened is that he actually tried to get with his teammates while they were flying in midair because of his proclivities, his obsession with holes. He tries to get with them, and then immediately they kick him off the team, losing his bid to actually join the Seven. They said on the TV show he will have his sidekick Ladio. That's meant to be a version of Robin, like, Batman Robin parody. He also has a version of Alfred the Butler, or you could say Jarvis, because Iron Man has a Jarvis Butler. In the actual opening scene, when they're investigating the aftermath of Sam and Emma's escape, they make another Tech Knight comic book reference to when the Doctor thinks that Sam stuck it in the guard's ear and killed him that way with his super strength. That's actually a reference to something that Tech Knight did to his butler, his version of Alfred in the comics. One of the differences with this version of the character is that he didn't have the TV show in the comics. He was just a super rich person who used his technology to become a superhero on Vaught's Payback team, and he didn't go to this particular school like he did in the world of the TV show. I think part of the joke on the TV show is that Godolkin is only meant to admit Compound V superhero kids, and they admitted him 20 years ago when he was a kid because he bought his way in with his money. Normally, Vought wouldn't care about non-superhero children. Had the show leaned in more of the Iron Man direction of his parody character, they probably would have made him more like a crazy Elon Musk type of person. And they already kind of did that with Homelander taking over Vought. They even just did a promo where Homelander takes over a social media platform, then fires everyone, which is a direct parody of Elon Musk buying Twitter, then firing most of the employees. The funny thing about The Boys TV show is that like crazier and crazier stuff keeps happening in real life, giving them material to parody on the TV show. Like the TV show keeps getting crazier and crazier because people in real life keep getting crazier and crazier. But the whole idea with this opening scene is the Dean is trying to figure out a way to cover this up because she thinks that Vought is going to kill her and possibly worse. The whole idea is that Vought is looking to cover everything up and find a patsy if things do go wrong in a public way. Like if something gets caught on camera, like one of the kids does something and the news finds out about it, Vought will just pin it on the Dean. She also makes that joke about doing it with skulls. They pay off that joke with Tech Knight later in the episode when he actually literally tries to do that to a skull in her office. The Doctor also says that Sam is much stronger than Golden Boy. Most superheroes, in addition to their main special powers, gain a bunch of extra low-level ones too. Like they all have the ability to hear greater amount of frequencies than the human ear. They can heal a little bit faster. They're a little bit stronger, a little bit faster moving. But it sounds like they're trying to say that Sam is much closer to like Queen Maeve's level of power, and she used to be like the second most powerful person on the Seven next to Homelander until Ryan came along. She's not quite as strong, but she's close. Like she could match him briefly. Meaning that Sam is crazy powerful. He also makes a bunch of Hulk jumps later in the episode, so he's strong kind of like the Hulk. And either he's insane or there's something else that Vought did to mess with his mind, because he keeps seeing Jason Ritter in a Sesame Street and Avenue Q parody with the Deep puppet and a bunch of other puppets we've seen in the trailer whose gills talk in this puppet hallucination. That's meant to pay off the joke from an earlier season of The Boys where Patton Oswalt played the voice of Deep's gills when they anthropomorphized them, like the Deep had a conversation with his gills. Some of you also asked about the animals on the walls here in the woods. They look similar to the animals that Black Noir hallucinated. It's possible he also spent time in the woods at some point, but I think the idea is the school was created after he had already become active in those flashbacks. They also confirmed during the episode here that Dean is not a superhero. She doesn't have Compound V superpowers. Then the Scooby Gang finds Emma's tracker, and Andre's right on the money with his theory that Sam just uses super strength to jump super far like the Hulk instead of running at super speed, and that created the craters, the impact from his landings and takeoffs. Then even though the kids all kind of low level can't stand each other, they want them to seem like they're becoming more of a team slowly, like they're slowly coming together, and they even make a literal Scooby-Doo reference with the green van, quote unquote, the mystery machine. They still have that whole ranking subplot. I don't really care too much about it, and it seems like most of the kids on the show don't actually care about it except for the Jordan Lee character. Like, who cares who's number one, who's number two? The Mangala reference she makes in the woods is about a Nazi doctor during World War II in real life, which is ironic because even though Jordan doesn't know the true history of the Vought company, Vought, the founder of the company, was originally a German scientist during World War II. He developed Compound V for the Germans. Tested it on his wife, who became Stormfront. Then he came to the United States with her after the war through Operation Paperclip, developed Vought American, and continued to build the company around Compound V superheroes, experimenting on Americans now. That's where Soldier Boy basically came from. Jensen Ackles' character, he was the first attempt to create an American superhero during World War II. Basically a parody of Captain America's origin story, like a dirtbag version of Captain America. And even though Jensen Ackles got put into cryo during Season 3 of The Boys, he's going to cameo again during the Gen V episodes at some point, and there are actually a couple moments in the episode where you see Soldier Boy on old movie posters from back in the 80s. Maybe they included some flashback with his character, or maybe he filmed some of those funny parody videos like Captain America did in Spider-Man Homecoming that all the students have to watch. There are a couple promo videos that they did for him like that when they introduced the character.
Hello, I'm Soldier Boy. The world knows who I am. Why do I have to say it? Who approved this script?
Stan Edgar.
If taking drugs is uncool, I'm the most uncool on the planet. You. Okay? Great!
Then the kids start to figure out that all the faculty, the dean, Brink, were behind the woods. They're all on Vought's payroll because the school was created by Vought. Like the whole idea in Buffy is the school is built on a hellmouth. The Vought school is built on an evil laboratory. There's a little dissension in the group. It makes me wonder if some of the kids are going to betray the others in exchange for Vought giving them a pass when they come to kill whoever steps out of line. Like, Vought will want to control whatever situation this winds up turning into, and at worst, they'll just kill everybody. Right now, Kate is at the top of my betrayal list. She seems like she really doesn't want to care about Sam or Emma or the other kids. They also keep hyping up this relationship between her and Andre, like he needs her so badly now, he's breaking down, I think to make her potential betrayal hit way harder. Right now, it seems like his arc is him slowly becoming more of an actual superhero, like he wants to be an actual superhero and use his powers for good. So I think the idea is that by the end of the series, some of the kids will be a little bit more like Butcher and the boys and want to stop Vought. Emma and Sam make it to the drive-in movie theater that Sam used to visit with Golden Boy when they were younger. There are a couple more Ant-Man jokes about Emma's powers and growing because she accidentally ate some of the guards' brains when she passed through them. This is also to set up the Giant Man joke later in the episode when she just eats more food to grow super huge. They start shipping the two of the characters like they'll have some kind of relationship eventually. I don't mind some of this, but there were a few moments during the episode where it started to stray into CW Riverdale kind of territory with the scenes between the different pairings. They handle the relationships a little bit better on the Boys main series, I think, like Huey and Starlight, and in the case of dysfunctional relationships, Homelander and every woman that he's ever been with. They also joke that that's one of Homelander's actual weaknesses, milk and women, basically, like they just completely confound him. Sam has severe abandonment issues just stemming from his Compound V powers and everything he's been through in his young life. Most of the episode, though, is Emma trying to talk him down before the others can hurt him, or worse, Vought just shows up to try and kill him. Normally, Vought would either try to kill a problem like this, like they just wipe you off the map completely and then douse it in Lysol. Or if you're too powerful to kill, they just put you in cryo, because there are a lot of superheroes that are like that. They're just so strong that no matter how you hurt them, they won't die. That's why they put Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy in cryo, because he's too powerful to actually kill, and Stormfront had to kill herself, although Homelander could have done it. This gets into something that they haven't done on the TV shows yet. They might save this for like a future season, but you can actually use Compound V to bring people back from the dead. Vought does that in the comics. But when they do that, usually people who come back from death are completely mindless. They lose their mental capacity, basically turning into zombified drones. They have a funny promo for Tek Knight's TV show, The Whole Truth. Notice during the promo, they flash a bunch of circles and holes, more references to his kink. Pretty much every sentence that he utters has some pun about holes. Notice that the TV show airs on Vought Plus, which is a parody of Disney Plus. They did a much larger promo parodying Disney Plus when it launched a couple years ago. The other joke of his TV show, The Whole Truth, is that it is actually the opposite of the truth. He says point blank he's going to cover up anything he needs to for Vought and pin Golden Boy's death on a patsy. And his whole show is based on doing stuff like this all over the place, just creating fake stories that are better for ratings. Some of you might recognize the actor. Tek Knight is played by Derek Wilson. He was on Future Man and Preacher. He was hilarious on Future Man. He was a totally crazy character. There's even more puns about him plunging himself into holes. Then even when he's practicing his vocals with a little rhyme about the slitted sheet, that sounds like it's another reference to his kink. They have another funny moment when he has a confrontation with the dean in her office, and even though he tries to play it like he's there and she's afraid, really, like she pauses for a beat because she knows about his kink, she knows she's getting him on camera in case she needs to have any dirt on him to protect herself. And I think she was waiting to go into her office because she wasn't sure if she was going to catch him in the act of humping something. But while they're talking, you can see him fingering holes all over the place, like making little circles with his finger on everything. And even though she's a little bit worried about Tek Knight, she's more worried about Vought getting pissed off, like Ashley calling a hit on her basically, or pinning everything on her and then burying her in a deep dark hole. Because that is Vought's MO. Like if there's a big problem, they'll just pin it on someone like they did with Stormfront at the end of season 2. Like, oh, it was all her fault. She did this all by herself. Nobody else was involved with it. When the dean says Ironclass killed himself after being interrogated by Tek Knight, he's meant to be a parody of Marvel's Ironclad character, who was an evil counterpart of the Thing from Fantastic Four. Pretty much everybody in the Boys universe is either like a Marvel parody or a DC parody character. They featured the Ironclad character during that Boys Diabolical animated series. It was a solid series, but there were a bunch of different episodes featuring different adventures. He basically has skin made of metal, and the Boys and Butcher targeted him because he drank people's blood in order to cure his ED, another weird kink-related problem. They probably used the Ironclad reference on the show because of his unique kink and Tek Knight's unique kink. Very phallic episode just in general. When she says most of his subjects wind up dead after he investigates them, it's because Vought either has them killed to cover something up or he himself kills them. They show off some of his Sherlock abilities, deducing that she's lying, figuring out some legit information about Sam's escape, showing you that he does actually have some abilities, but they're not superpowers. They reference Ashley and Vought Corporate because Tek Knight's TV show is basically just a front for Vought to clean up messes like this and then cover them up. Tek Knight makes the Johnny Depp reference when he says that he's going to frame someone for everything that happened. Most of you probably understood that reference. Fairly recent thing that just happened last year. The Boys really likes to be current on all their parodies. They do another funny promo for Tek Knight's TV show telling a story about She-Hemoth, who's a parody of Marvel's She-Hulk, who apparently killed her lover when they were doing it because she's super huge and strong. That's a common thing with superheroes too. They make a bunch of jokes about it during season 1. There's even a superhero support group for people that were injured while doing it with superheroes. Marie tries to get help from Rufus, who has psychic powers in astral projection. He's played by Alexander Calvert from Supernatural. I believe he became the new version of God by the end of that series. But on The Boys, he's basically a pervert and messing with Marie, trying to have his way with her using his powers until she explodes his junk. What a way to go. But the Supernatural connection is that the showrunner of The Boys, the main show, actually created the Supernatural show. So that's how all the Supernatural actors are winding up on The Boys, like Jensen Ackles, Richard Singer. They have Jeffrey Dean Morgan coming to The Boys season 4 as another character. All we need now is Jared Padalecki. Let me know in the comments who you think he should play on The Boys. The thing with Rufus, too, is that most Compound V superheroes on The Boys are total perverts, some worse than others, though, and usually Vought tries to cover everything up for them, which is probably how Rufus wound up at that campus not being arrested. Normally, somebody like that would get thrown in jail a lot quicker. Really good example of that is Homelander with Becca and Ryan. Vought basically covered that up, even covering it up from Homelander so that he wouldn't learn about Ryan. Tek Knight interviews all the kids, starting with Andre and his father, until he loses it and makes fun of Tek Knight for not actually having Compound V superpowers. Probably the craziest moment during all the student interviews was when Tek Knight smells Kate's body on Andre's mouth, and the way he also reveals it too, saying he was eating holes more to Tek Knight's obsession with holes. Back at the drive-in movie theater, the Red Thunder 2 movie poster is for a Payback movie with Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy and their team. It looks like it was from the 80s, like an 80s action movie that Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger would have made. Sam starts hearing the voices of the puppets in his head, but we don't actually see them till later, and it's going to get even crazier, I think, in future episodes. They have the superhero branding class. Obviously, the joke here is the whole college is basically like a social media college, teaching the kids how to create brands around themselves and develop big social media followings, not actually teaching them how to save people, because Vought doesn't really care about actually saving people. Tek Knight interrogates Marie in front of everyone, successfully getting her to confess the truth about what happened with Golden Boy dying and Jordan being the real hero. And the real reason it seems like he doesn't want to pin Golden Boy's death on the students and wants the dean instead is probably because Vought told him to do that. The whole idea being that the kids could potentially become big money earners for Vought someday, whereas she could not, and they can just replace her with another person to raise money for the college with those fake fundraisers. That was also the reason they were going to kick Marie out of school. Like, these other kids, they have potential to be big money earners for Vought. You do not. Back at the drive-in, when Sam is looking out the window, zoom in and enhance on the newspapers here covering the windows. It has Soldier Boy and Payback on them. This is Crimson Countess. I think the idea is the drive-in closed sometime during the 2000s when Sam and Golden Boy would have been kids, so these seem like really old newspapers. Then they have that wicked Sesame Street parody hallucination. It's also a parody of Avenue Q, like Avenue V for Vought. As weird as it gets, it's also notable that he calls Jason Ritter by his name as if real-life Jason Ritter is now canon to the boys' universe, like there's an actor named Jason Ritter that just works for Vought. But in the scene, he's meant to be a parody of Mr. Rogers with the sweater, and also they have the puppet of the Deep, and the Gills talking is a reference back to a joke from an earlier season of the boys' main show where the Deep talked to his Gills, but they were in his mind. But the voice of his Gills were played by Patton Oswalt, and it was all in his head. For the most part, the way they play this is it is Sam's own fractured mind telling him to do this, like he is genuinely insane, but there could be something that Vought did that's causing him to do this, like they could be doing something shady on the side too. He winds up doing super jumps, taking off like the Hulk to go kill the doctor. Then the dean turns things around on Tek Knight, revealing all the footage in the montage she has of him humping every hole in sight and his brain tumor. Now, I don't know how many episodes Tek Knight is supposed to be in this season, but in the comics, the way he goes out was hilarious. It was crazy. He thinks he's saving the world from a giant meteorite trying to blow it up while sticking his junk in it, when really, that was just a hallucination because of his brain tumor, and he was killed by a falling wheelbarrow. My assumption is they'll just use him a little bit differently on the TV show because they're leaning so heavily into this Batman side of his parody. Probably the funniest moment from his little montage here is him with the car, and after his follow-up broadcast where he does what the dean asks, takes a beat, goes to the woods to hump the tree. Then when Sam tries to kill the doctor, everybody shows up to try and stop him, and as they're about to either kill or maim him, Emma talks him down, but just as she does that, there's a huge time jump with a couple of days with Marie waking up in Jordan's bed. Now, what might have happened is that the Vought had another psychic or someone with psychic powers that caused them to just forget everything for a couple of days, or something else could be going on. Normally, Vought would try to cover this up in some way, and an easy way to do that would be to use a psychic to just make everybody forget everything and give them enough time to scrub the doctor's house. But the fact that Marie wound up in Jordan's bed implies that they were active for the last couple of days and just don't remember anything. So let me know in the comments what you think happened to them, what this missing 3 days was all about. Then they just have that funny end credit scene of the Missy Elliott song with Tek Knight trying to stick it in the hand dryer. Somebody call that dude a doctor. There are a bunch of Easter eggs and references, mostly to Tek Knight in the episode. If there are any that you spotted that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. In my episode 5 video, we'll post next week after my Loki Season 2 video. My Loki Season 2 Episode 2 trailer video will post next. Click here for my full Loki Season 2 Episode 1 video, and click here for my Ahsoka Season 2 video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.